Why is nobody real when it comes to business? Like, I just want to know why. Everybody's out here lying. Everybody's out here giving fake advice. I'm going to peel back the curtains on what nobody tells you about being in business and being an entrepreneur. Hit subscribe and let's get into it. Hey guys, my name's Yusra. I run Small Seed Consulting for close to 3 years now. And at Small Seed Consulting, we help small and medium-sized businesses and organizations to increase your income, increase your impact, and do all of this while working less. So here's the tea. The first year of business, I made like no money. And when I look back on why I made no money, it's so obvious. So Myron Golden, he talks all the time about how people who come from a background where like they have a formal education, you know, where they've worked like a white collar corporate job, is like a lot of the times they're the hardest people to really make successful entrepreneurs. And I get what he's saying. I completely see it. The issue is you're starting a business and you're being very, very logical. Like you're just like, these are the skills that I have and somebody will need these skills. Therefore, they will use my services. Literally not the way it works. And doesn't that sound so simple? Doesn't that sound like the way it should work? It literally doesn't work that way. Business is all about psychology. It's all about who you know. It's all about getting in the right rooms. That is how you build a business. But nobody tells you these things. And a really, really big mistake that you do not want to make in the early stages is not having a clear offer. Again, you just think, I have these skills that benefit this sort of people, so those sorts of people will be able to find me and will hire me. But again, it doesn't work that way. You have to make it so easy for people to work with you and so clear on how they can work with you. So for example, when it comes to for-profit businesses, there's really only a handful of ways to work with me. You can either book a VIP day or book a consulting call. That's it. And the link is down below in the description box, by the way. But my first year of business, I didn't have a clear offer. I didn't really know who I was serving or how the skills that I had could be packaged up into expertise. This is a problem for so many reasons. First of all, even if the people in your life are ready to advocate for you, go up to bat for you, speak your name in the right rooms, they are going to be stumbling over their words when trying to explain what it is you do, who it is you serve, because it's just not going to be clear to people if you don't have a clear offering. The other thing that nobody tells you about being a business owner, about being an entrepreneur, is how mentally taxing it is. This is the thing, is you hear a lot about mindset this, mindset is so important, your mindset, limiting beliefs, blah, 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 blah. But it's actually mentally draining to be an entrepreneur. And the reason being is because of rejection. When you're an entrepreneur, you face so much more rejection that the average person faces. You face so much more rejection that is normal and that honestly a regular human being should face on a daily basis. Literally, it's every day being rejected over and over and over again. And I've always been somebody who's a very, confident and like very assured person in who I am. But it was honestly the first time where I felt shook, y'all. I really felt shook. Like I was like really just at a point where like I would wake up and I would be like, what is the point of doing the things that I'm supposed to do today? Because it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna account for anything. I was starting to lose that confidence that I could actually achieve what I was looking to achieve. I had a lot of doubt. So again, it's like people talk all about mindset when it comes to entrepreneurship, but it's like, okay, what about it? Be specific. What is the real challenge here? And that is the challenge, is literally doubt, not having self-belief, not having confidence, really just feeling hopeless in some cases because of all the rejection that you experience. And that's why reframing challenges that you experience is so important. Reframing rejection as something different than rejection. So one example is this idea of 100 no's. So again, imagine you're waking up every day and it's like, no, 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 right? Like you just experience it as rejection. But this idea of 100 no's is this idea of a no actually being something you want to work towards. And I don't mean like you want a no over a yes, but the idea that every time you get a no, it means you put yourself out there. And putting yourself out there is an essential action that you need to take in order to achieve success. So the idea of 100 no's is this idea of like, I'm counting the no's that I get, because I know that once that I've hit 100 of them, I've actually put myself out there enough, and I've actually started taking the actions that I need to take in order to head down that path of success. And I'm telling you guys, you have to reframe something, because genuinely the same way that I feel like we're in this era where people, like, our faces are not meant to be seen by this many people in the world, is the same way that I feel about like when you are an entrepreneur, you just experience so much more rejection than your brain is conditioned to be able to handle as a regular human being. The other thing that nobody tells you when you are starting a business, when you are headed down this path of entrepreneurship, is that you need to constantly and forever be selling. It never ends. It somewhat gets easier, but it is a constant cycle of selling. And for me, as somebody who's just a natural introvert, somebody who sales has never really been my skill set, that was really difficult for me. It still is difficult for me, honestly. But when you are somebody who is a solopreneur or a small team, basically just doing the work isn't good enough, right? Like, just providing an excellent service to your clients is actually not good enough. You can't just focus on the execution of doing the thing. You need to constantly be also then getting new clients so that you have a pipeline of people to work with, have a pipeline of projects to do so that you're making money. And people make it seem very easy. They make it seem like lead generation this, if you just follow my 3-step formula for that. It's not like that, guys. I'm telling you straight up, it is not like that. It has been very difficult for me to put myself out there and really understand the sales process. And another huge thing that I realized is that business is done in person. Straight up. Like, this idea that you can sit behind a computer screen, just clickety clack, record a video, and that's all it takes to run a business successfully. Honestly, that is not going to be the case for 90% of people. It will be the case for those who know how to do it well, prioritize it, create a system, all those sorts of things. But for 90% of people, it's actually easier to, instead of focus on social media, to just go out and be in the right rooms and make the right connections. Like, when you are willing to do what nobody else is doing, you are going to start seeing results. And I'm telling you, we're in this age where people are just not really engaging face to face anymore. So it becomes easier to stand out. Something else is that you have to be resourceful. I do not know one successful entrepreneur, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs, guys. I do not know one successful entrepreneur who is not resourceful and can't figure out how to solve problems. And the thing is, so I was working with an organization who actually serves entrepreneurs. They provide programming for entrepreneurs. And through that experience, I met a lot of people who were very early stage entrepreneurs, like, let's call it 0 to 10K. Guys, it is so obvious who's gonna make it and who's not. And I don't say this in a way to discourage anyone, because I think, already putting yourself in a room where you're able to ask questions, get the right answers, that's already amazing. But I see it a lot of the time, people who don't show up, people who are extremely unprofessional, and people who are not resourceful. Like, they cannot answer questions, like they can genuinely not solve problems. And to be an entrepreneur, to run your own business, is literally just solving problems all day long. Like, solving your problems and solving your clients' problems. So I'm telling you guys, it becomes very clear, like, who's got it and who doesn't. And that is honestly one of the reasons why I stopped working with early stage entrepreneurs. Like, if you are somebody who, is an early stage entrepreneur, don't worry, I'm not trying to sell you a damn thing, because the reality is, it is super frustrating to work with early stage entrepreneurs. That's not necessarily what my skill set lends to, right? So a lot of early stage entrepreneurs, you need support around marketing and sales. And really, my skill set is around scaling. Like, if you are a business owner who is making 6 figures and you want to make it to, $250,000 by the end of the year, that's who I can best serve. Not the person who needs sales support, because there are a lot of people who do that a lot better than me. So that's not a lane that I'm in. But yeah, that's, again, like, I love watching people transform and helping support them and seeing that, real growth and how much it changes their lives in the early stages. But I definitely had to step away from focusing on those sorts of people. And that actually brings up another point, which is the idea of pivoting. So when you start your business, people make it seem like if you just focus on one thing and go hard with it, that will be the thing. But the reality is, when you start your business, you make assumptions about who you are going to serve and how you're going to serve them. And those assumptions might be completely wrong. Like, you might get it completely wrong and have to pivot. And that's what I did. I pivoted many times, and really I pivoted based on who was coming to me and asking me for help and wanting to pay for the services that I was providing. And right now I'm doubling down even further on who I like working with and who I've been able to impact the most. So just know that your first idea is probably not going to be where your business ends up being. But it doesn't mean that it's not worth it or not the best direction to head in, because you're gonna learn a lot from it. The other thing I learned about business is people take your business as serious as they take you. Again, if you are that person that can't really articulate your value, if you are constantly showing up late, if you are presenting yourself as unprofessional, and I don't even mean in terms of your appearance or anything like that, I just mean in terms of how you move, in terms of how you act, that's what people are gonna think of your business. Straight up. And I will say that in my experience, like, they're not wrong to think that. The people who show up and carry themselves a certain way and talk about their business in a certain way, they're usually ready to take action, to really make things happen. And that's the difficult thing, is in those early stages where you might not be making money, in many ways your business might not be the full priority, so you're not treating it that way. But if people catch wind of that, if that's the experience that they're having when they're interacting with you, then that's how they're going to perceive your business, and they're not going to want to work with you. And you might lose out on opportunities because they might not want to work with you. And another life-changing quote I really want you guys to take in is that your business will never outgrow your personal development. And I mentioned that in another video, and I really want you guys to take it in, because again, especially if you are your business, you need to be willing to take risks, to take leaps in order for your business to hit new levels. For example, y'all, I reached a point where I had achieved success in my business. I knew that the path that I was headed down was viable in order for me to hit all my income goals and in order for me to have the lifestyle that I wanted. I ended up moving countries. The month before I moved to a new country, I had my highest month ever in my business. And I literally left that behind in so many ways. I left behind my network, I left behind potential projects in order to start something new in a new country. Why did I do that? I could have stayed in the same place. I could have achieved growth and success where I already was, but I knew that in order for me to hit a next level in my business, I had to physically relocate myself to a bigger market. So remember, you have to do the uncomfortable things that are gonna constantly be pushing you to grow and learn. It's just the only way that your business is gonna continue to grow. Okay, my SD card on my camera is literally almost full from me yapping so much, so I will leave it at that. But I would love to hear down below in the description box some of the challenges that you guys are facing when it comes to entrepreneurship. And for my seasoned entrepreneurs, I would love to hear the things that nobody ever told you about entrepreneurship. See you guys in the next video. Bye.